Alrighty, welcome back to the Jays Center podcast. Owen Hill, joined as always by Jesse Burl. And Jesse, we got 2.5 really good games of vintage Toronto Blue Jays baseball. They're hitting, frankly, the shit out of the baseball. The pitching looked good. And then all of a sudden, George Springer fouls a ball off his big toe and he died on the field. Probably the last we'll ever hear of him. And then the season's over. I think that's pretty much where we're at since we last talked.
Man, yes. Hi, Owen. First of all, good to see you from you. I wish we could come onto one of these podcasts and have a little better reactions than to talk about then the Blue Jays losing another series, then another one of our best players getting injured, hitting the IL. But that just seems to be the fate of the Toronto Blue Jays right now. Look, we're 15 games in, Owen, and aside from the 3-game sweep to start the year, this is probably as bad as things probably could have been. I think even coming into the year, if we had tried to plan out a worst case scenario for the Toronto Blue Jays, I don't think we would have even come up with this. The good news, though, Owen, is 6-9. That's not nice, but that is okay. That's manageable. And if you look around the American League, there's not really, no team is really running away with things. So that is a positive. But boy, has this been a tough stretch of ball games for the Toronto Blue Jays, and it continued this series against Minnesota.
Yeah, man, it's far from over, and it will be far from over for the foreseeable future. Like, it's okay, but at the same time, like, I just look at this team and I see, like, you just lost your 4th straight series. You're 2-8 in your last 10. You're not getting any healthier. Like, so far since the season has started, you've lost more players than you've got back, and you were very injured to start the season. Like, you're missing, like, if I look at the starting lineup, like, you're missing at least 3 of your top 5 hitters in, like, the A lineup when everyone's healthy. And I could argue that if you include Anthony Santander in there, like, you're missing 4 of your 5 top hitters, maybe not 5 best hitters, but like 4 of your 5 hitters that would be hitting in the top 5. You're missing your 3rd best starting pitcher, your 4th, your 5th, probably your 6th, maybe even your 7th if you want to go as far as Bowden Francis. Like, dude, it's as bleak as it's looked in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be an optimist here about all the injuries that we have, which is hard to do. But you'd rather everybody get hurt now, I suppose, than later in the season, right? Although some of those injuries are people that are out for long term, like Cody Ponce. Didn't matter when he was going to get hurt. He's going to be gone all season. Same with like Anthony Santander, gone 5 months. Like, I guess he could be back later. We will see. But, you know, it does sound like a minimal stay for George Springer. It does sound like a minimal stay for Addison Barger. Those will help. Alejandro Kirk, even, what is it, 6 weeks, they think, for Kirk? So back around the trade deadline.
I think it's 6 weeks till baseball activities for Kirky. So, like, that's even not great. But I do hear what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying. And there are positives. And, like, we're not, like, pronouncing the team dead. As we're going to talk about, like, the rest of the American League, right, or like as of right now, has been terrible. I don't think there's a single American League team with 10 wins. Like, the Jays are only 2 back of the American League East lead after the Rays swept the Yankees this weekend. So it's okay. We're not pressing the panic button, but I think it's just like there's no way to tell this story without talking about like how insanely unlucky the Jays have been just with the injury bug in general.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this last episode, and I'll mention it again here. One way that the Blue Jays or any team in baseball can kind of underperform where expectations are is bad bullpen performance, unlucky in 1-run games, and the Blue Jays haven't really gotten either of those, or injuries is the third thing. And the good news is, like, the injuries will start to subside as hopefully, knock on wood, things can always get worse. But I really do think that things will get better here. And then give it a month, give it some time to players to come back. But I do think this Blue Jays team will start to hit their stride yet again.
Yeah, okay. So I think it's only fair if we just talk about the playoff odds and just put it in like perspective of where things are at. Because, and I told you before, I'm not a big playoff odds person, but I think they do a good job of explaining like just how much the Jays have lost from where they started the season based on where they were when they started the season. I guess is the only way to put it. Like on opening day, they had a 68.4% chance to make the playoffs, and based on how they performed so far, so their 6-9 record and who they're missing due to injury and how long they're expected to be missing for, the Jays have lost like 30 points on that, and they're at 37.8% coming into today. That's before today's loss. So those are going to be down tomorrow morning when you're listening to this podcast. So I think it's just the Jays have really dug themselves a hole, and they can dig out of it, but I don't know. They're going to need to use a different tool.
Yeah, 37.7. So they've lost 0.1% somehow in the afternoon, whether that's a rounding error or whatnot. The number I am looking at is the projected win total for this team, which before the season was somewhere like 86, 87, give or take, around that ballpark.
I think Vegas had them at 89.5 or 88.5.
Yeah. So depending on the website you look at, Fangraphs has them at 81.2 projected wins, so a mere 500 team. Baseball Prospectus has them a little bit higher at 84.1. Baseball Prospectus has the Blue Jays in the playoffs still. Fangraphs does not, so we like Baseball Prospectus, I suppose, here.
This is a Baseball Perspective podcast.
Yes, love that. There's a free shout out, Baseball Prospectus. But either way, the Blue Jays still do have work to do. And yes, all these games do count. And yes, these numbers falling are noteworthy and are a sign of concern. But until that number says 0%, we have a chance.
Exactly. And I think what hurts the most is who you've done this losing to. But I think that's so it hurts the most because, like, if we look at the schedule, you've lost series to the Rockies, the White Sox, and now the Twins. Obviously, the Dodgers mixed in there. Like, that one's acceptable to lose 2 of 3 to. But if you look at that a little bit more positively, that means you have work to do against the best teams. And if you want to be good anyways, you got to beat the best teams. And the Jays were really good against the best teams in baseball last year. I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but like their run differential was like pretty neutral last year. But against like teams above 500, the Jays were actually much better. Like they played up to their competition last year. So hopefully that's something that they can make up for. And if you beat the best teams, it's almost like we always do this thing in hockey where you call it a 2-point game or a 4-point game, because you win and the other team doesn't pick up points. So it's kind of like you're playing 2 games at once. I don't know if I'm stretching this a little bit, but do you understand what I'm trying to say when I talk about that?
I am picking up what you're putting down, but if you look at the upcoming schedule, like the best quote unquote team Blue Jays played is the Dodgers, National League. Doesn't really matter. And if you look at the upcoming schedule, the next good team they play is their next series, the Milwaukee Brewers. Good team. But again, in the National League, then they have the Diamondbacks. And then I don't think either of us think the Angels are the good team. It might not be till we play Boston at the end of the month where we start thinking like, okay, this is a good team. We really get those like little 2-point swings for like every win you get is a loss they get, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, look, your point, Owen, makes a lot of sense. The problem with this here is that how confident really are we right now that these Blue Jays can beat these good teams? Because the way they've been playing on the field, it leaves you wanting more and makes you think it might not be possible.
Well, so I would say that not seeing these quote unquote good teams until Boston at the end of April 27th. First of all, who's projected to make that start? Trey Savage. So that's kind of exciting.
Nice.
That we could finally get our eyes on him this season. Anyways, I would argue that that's a good thing because like that is past the minimum IL stint for Barger. That's past the minimum IL stint for George Springer. So, hey, man, hopefully when we're playing these good teams, like the actual players that should be on the Blue Jays are on the Blue Jays again and in the lineup and like helping the team win. And I think that's the formula to get back to where you belong. And that's why me and you are having this conversation. And despite the Jays having lost 2 or having just won 2 of their last 10, they're 2-8. We're still somewhat positive and we're talking in a positive tone. And we think there's still a chance.
Yes, but Owen, I will say, let's start winning sooner rather than later, because we can only come out here and be so rational for so long before stuff starts to hit the fan. So it'd be really nice to get going here soon.
Yeah, we're not going to do this on this podcast, but I have started my list of things to do other than watch baseball during the summer. I've got some I've got some hobbies, and we're not going to do it yet because we're not ready. We're not going to do that until at least May 1st. That's my deal. But just so you know, the list has been started.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're thinking about other ways to spend your summer. I'm sure there'd be less stressful ways than watching Blue Jays baseball, but I know in reality we're hooked. We're watching these things all season long, but there could be some nice things if you weren't glued to the TV or glued to your phone trying to follow these box scores all season long.
Yeah, no, I'll be here all season long. I think my girlfriend would just appreciate a little bit more time. If the Jays keep losing, that means that's all the more time she gets to spend with me. So lucky her, I guess.
For her sake, I hope it's a long summer and things are drawn apart between the two of you, and you guys can have your moment come wintertime.
Yeah, no, that's the deal. Okay, so we're talking injuries. I think,
Yes.
and I think it's pretty clear that while the lineup looks worse day by day, I think if we're going to talk about where it's really hurting the Jays the most, and it's where it hurt them the most this series, is the starting rotation. We
Yeah.
saw it starts from Patrick Corbin. Yeah, he's a Blue Jay now. Isn't that really weird? Eric Lauer and Max Scherzer. None of those guys were projected to be on the roster when spring training started, or not. Maybe not. Well, Lauer is going to be on the roster, but in the starting rotation when the season started, and they combined for where do I have it here? Oh yes, 11 and a third innings pitched. They gave up 6 homers in those 11 and a third innings. That included 18 earned runs, 8 walks to 9 strikeouts, and 16 hits. Frankly, like that's probably the 3 worst back-to-back-to-back starting pitch games I've ever seen.
I've watched a lot of baseball over the years. I'm sure somewhere in my memory there are some worse stretches of Blue Jays pitching. But yes, they were bad. And particularly with Lauer and Max Scherzer too, it seemed to be just one really bad inning for both of them. But the problem is they weren't able to find that pitch when they needed to escape a jam. Things kind of snowballed a little bit on them. And with Lauer and Scherzer specifically, it felt like the walks or the hit by pitches and then a big home run. And next thing you know, you're down big. They got a crooked number on the board, right? If you could maybe give up a home run and then, then a walk, but then you got to pop up in a ground ball and you're out of the inning, it's 2 runs against you instead of 7 runs against you or 8 runs against you. And at that point, the Blue Jays were just well out of the game. And yeah, even their 10-4 win, Blue Jays were down early in that game too. It was looking like it was the same script until the offense came back a little late and they had a big inning of their own to come back and win that game. So yeah, major problem. You really want to see this going forward, especially for these guys. Like, this is your time to stand up. Like, if you're Eric Lauer and you went to arbitration last year thinking you should be a starter, well, then come out here and kind of prove you need to be a starter. And he had just had 1 good start, but now 2 bad starts. And same with Scherzer. Pressure's on for these guys. If you're not pitching well when these guys get healthy, this might be the end of your run in the Blue Jays rotation.
Yeah, pretty disappointing from Lauer, and I get he was sick, and maybe he's still feeling the repercussions of that. But like, he's down 1.5 miles on his fastball so far this season, and like that's a real thing if you're sick. Like, I get it, but at the same time, like, this is a guy that was like actually crying to the media about like wanting to be a starting pitcher, and like supposedly the Jays told him he was going to be a starter, and then he didn't project to be because they brought in a bunch of guys and whatnot. Like, I'm having a hard time feeling the sympathy for that if like that's how you're gonna pitch. And shout out to him, man. Like, he got through 5 1/3 despite giving up all the runs in the world in that one. I think it was like the second or third inning, and then he gutted it out. He stayed out there and was able to save the bullpen. At the same time, like, it has to be better. Like, especially when you're as thin as you are in the rotation. Like, Lauer's the 3rd guy right now if we look at it, and like, you should be winning his starts. You have to.
Yeah, I do still want to throw some grace for Eric Lauer. He did mention the sickness he had. He mentioned that he had lost probably 7 or 8 pounds in a week there. And he said the biggest thing wasn't getting his strength back. It was the recovery. He found it took longer to recover. So I find that big inning where things really spiraled from him, maybe it was that he had trouble getting his energy back up from being out there on a long inning. So I want to throw that caveat out there. But next one is a big one for Eric Lauer. If he struggles yet again, I think it might be time to maybe move him back into the bullpen or something when that turn comes up again.
Okay, I don't want to spoil a future segment on this pod, but while we're talking about Lauer, one of the things I wanted to ask you, and it's also stupid early in the season, we're like literally 2 weeks in, but I wanted to know which, if any, players on the Blue Jays you have had like a concrete shift in opinion of based on what you see from them early in 2026. And one of the guys I put down with a question mark, I'm not ready to say it, but I wanted to know if you think you're ready to say Eric Lauer is not what we saw in 2025.
I think there was always going to be some sort of regression with Eric Lauer, and I still want to see more in a larger sample size. I think last year he did get kind of lucky in a way, and so I always expected that to come back just a little bit. But I don't think I'm ready yet to change my way with Eric Lauer. I guess if I could put like eyeball emojis on it, like I'm watching him, like I'm keeping notes and I'm keeping tabs, but I haven't fully changed my opinion on Eric Lauer. My real answer might be the next guy in the rotation, but I'll let you give your thoughts first before I talk about him.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, you were right. A little bit lucky last year for Lauer. 3.86 expected ERA to a 3.18 actual ERA. So like, yes, a jump, but a 3.8, like you would
Yep.
take that
1,000%.
3.86 ERA. You would take that absolutely in a heartbeat this season from Eric Lauer. So he's even underperforming that this season. His 643 FIP and 539 xFIP, like, dude, pretty disgusting from Eric Lauer so far this season. And then the guy who started today, Max Scherzer. What else is there to say other than like 2 1/3 innings pitched and 8 earned runs? Just frankly did not have it at all today. Gave up a 3-run homer for the 3rd straight game. That's right, all 3 guys gave up 3-run homers in this series.
Wow.
Man. And the worst part was for me watching this, and we'll do the Max talk, but like the Jays probably still should have won this game even with those 8 runs, because they were 2 for 14 with runners in scoring position. They left 12 on base and they only managed to score 2 runs. Like, it was just what a frustrating game this afternoon.
Yeah, I think a lot of that might have been they've been deflated early, giving up an 8 spot or a 3 and then a 5. Giving up 8 runs in total quite early in the game might deflate you a little bit. Sure, the Blue Jays probably should have scored more runs. They should have scored more runs all throughout the course of this season, basically, to be honest. It was nice in game 1. We thought we were starting to see a little bit of signs of life from that offense. Scoring 5 runs in an inning was fantastic. We thought they were going to get there, but games 2, games 3, bats couldn't really get going yet again, and it's been more of the collective story for the offense as a whole.
Yeah, okay, so let's do the Max Scherzer thing. The question I just asked you, have you seen enough this season to say there's a concrete shift in what you think of him now compared to at the start of the season?
So Max Scherzer, I do. Now, expectations were probably tampered a little bit coming into the year because just they have to be for any 41-year-old who is coming in and pitching. But I was thinking this guy could be kind of what he was in the playoffs, maybe like a low 4, high 3s. He can gut you through some stuff. I'm starting to get worried that Max Scherzer might actually be done here. And I don't say done like he's never going to be effective in the major leagues again. He'll still put up some decent starts for you going forward. But I think we're looking at that Max Scherzer as anything more than a number 5 starter is a mistake. And I think the Blue Jays could get better and will get better as soon as one of these other guys are ready.
Okay, so as of right now, and the answer is Patrick Corbin, but is it Max Scherzer the guy that they let go after, like, when Trey Savage gets back?
The answer is Patrick Corbin, or they'll move him to the bullpen, or they'll move Eric Lauer to the bullpen first before they get rid of Max Scherzer. But I do think if the Blue Jays were doing things strictly on performance or strictly on merit of who is the best pitcher, who gives them the best chance to win going forward, then I think it should be Max Scherzer. However, I don't think that's the move the Blue Jays will ultimately make here.
Well, they keep going on, and I don't know if they're actually going on about this. I don't know if that's accurate for me to say, but the quote from John Schneider was that it's a meritocracy in the starting rotation.
Yeah.
And not that I'm advocating for them to cut Max Scherzer. I think that's probably a pretty bad look. Like, that's a sad way for a future Hall of Famer to go out. I don't want any bad blood between Scherzer and the Jays. At the same time, if Max Scherzer is like your 5th best starting pitcher, I guess 6th best starting pitcher, and he refuses to go to the bullpen or whatnot, like, yeah, dude, it's hard to keep him around.
Yeah, like a 6.75 K per 9 coming into the game today. He had a FIP of 5.6 before the 8 runs he gave up today. And also, too, he had a .190 BABIP. So you could argue that there is more coming for Max Scherzer in that area. So just major yikes. I love the Max Scherzer story. He did give us a good start against the Athletics early in the season, and he might even put one together coming forward here. But yeah, I don't think the Blue Jays are at their best if Max Scherzer is still starting games every 5 games.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, when we started this conversation about Max here, like, I was ready to say I haven't seen enough because, and the argument for that is like, he's a future Hall of Famer. Like, I think this guy can pitch without his best stuff, and clearly he's been doing it for what, he's 41, probably like 4 or 5 years at least now, maybe like 6 or 7 years without his like absolute best stuff of his career, and he's been pretty good at it. He's been successful. And I think that if he can truly get healthy, and we haven't mentioned yet, but the forearm tendonitis is a real thing. And if that's something that's bugging him, he's obviously not at his best. But I think that if he can get healthy, I think he still does have something to offer. Like you said, that high 3s, low 4s ERA. and like eat some innings, I think that's still in there. It's just I don't know how many more starts like today the Blue Jays can really stand. Like I don't think they can bear much more of that.
Yeah, 13% whiff rate for Max Scherzer today. None on his slider, just 2 of 17 on his fastball. He's not missing bats. Like his average exit velocity against in this game was over 96. Like the average ball hit against Max Scherzer was considered hard hit today. Like that is a problem. Like that cannot continue going forward. And it's hard to see. I mean, if anyone can do it, it's Max Scherzer, but it's really hard to see a 41-year-old rebounding from that going forward.
Yeah, I agree, dude. I think it's bad. Like there's not much else to say about it other than it's not good enough. And if the Blue Jays are going to start winning games when he pitches, he's going to have to pitch better. And like shout out to him. Like I guess he took it on the chin today. He said that he is taking the blame for the loss, and like I guess you can do that. I don't know. Disappointing stuff for Max Scherzer. And if we're going to continue with the rotation,
yes,
what do you think of Patrick Corbin? Because Blue Jays debut and a guy with low expectations and came in and kind of pitched exactly like we expected to. Also gave up a 3-run homer and another solo shot to a lefty. So like I really thought he looked bad, but the Jays were able to win his start. So I guess better than the other two.
Hey, they're 1-0 in the Patrick Corbin starts era on the season. So shout out to him for Patrick Corbin. But we were saying at the end of last episode, after we had signed him and we knew he was going to get the start, that we had pretty low expectations for Patrick Corbin. Me personally, over the years, I don't advocate for sports gambling, but I used to always stack right-handed hitters against Patrick Corbin in parlays, and I had been quite successful doing that. Couldn't do that with Patrick Corbin now on the Blue Jays. But I will say, on the field, I thought his location looked quite good early on. He was really hitting the corners. That cutter was moving pretty good. And then he just hung a couple of those sliders in the middle of the plate, and the Twins hitters did not miss them. Things kind of raveled a little bit, a couple walks, and next thing you know, it was 4 runs against Patrick Corbin, including a couple home runs. And that's what we expected from a guy who has had a history of major home run problems.
Yeah, he like in the Blue Jays rotation as a whole this series, but they kind of made the Twins look like the 1927 Yankees. Like they were just mashing, and like they were not getting cheapies. Like they were hitting, like their lefties, dude, were hitting some bombs like over the bleachers, over the bullpens, like clearing some pretty impressive stuff. Like it looked like the Addison Barge home runs from pretty much every guy on the Twins. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ugly
like
stuff.
Trevor Larnach looks like a stud to me. Like I can't believe this guy doesn't get MVP votes. I found myself getting scared when Victor Caratini was coming to the plate, and it's like, come on now. If our Blue Jays hitters or pitchers are making these hitters look like this, that's a problem. That can't be the case going forward.
Yeah, no, like are the Twins actually like a really great baseball team? Because they actually had some hitters who like really impressed me this series, and maybe that had more to do with I think it definitely had more to do with the Blue Jays than the Twins, but man, it was tough. It was tough to watch. Okay, lights at the end of the tunnel.
Go check out our friends at Twins Daily if you want more Twins content over there. They're talking a lot about this series as well. So
yeah, shout out Twins Daily. Probably the highlight of their season is beating the defending American League champions, right?
That's right.
Okay, light is at the end of the tunnel when it comes to the Blue Jays starting rotation. Injuries, knock on wood. Hopefully, it sounds like Trey Savage is one rehab start away from making his first appearance of the season for the Blue Jays. And I don't think that can get here soon enough.
Yeah, a report was he made a start down in Dunedin. He did give up a couple runs, but from all the reports were that it was kind of just one bad inning. And a lot of that was the defense behind him. The quote after his first rehab start was, "It went very good." Sounds like he's one more rehab start away. Whether that's in Dunedin or Buffalo might depend on weather and travel and whatnot. And then he should be back to join the big leagues. I didn't see how many pitches he was worked up to, Owen. I don't know if you saw that somewhere. And I guess we'll know more after his next rehab start. But it can't come soon enough. I'm ready for Trey Savage to come back and join this rotation.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me worried because Trey Savage is kind of like a guy I faded when we were having our like off-season conversations. I'm like, yeah, like second time through the big leagues, like I'm worried about struggles. But like at this point, like a struggling Trey Savage would be a godsend for this team. I think even if it's just a different look and a guy with a little bit of like that like 23-year-old energy, like a little bit of confidence, like Like Trey, like we need you. He's projected to make a start on April 21st, so we're less than 10 days away from that.
Excellent.
He is projected to start against the Angels. Like, dude, we're so close. And it sounds like Jose Barrios is right behind him. And hey, Jose Barrios, another guy we were very low on coming into the season, but I'm telling you, would look a lot better to watch Jose Barrios than Patrick Corbin or Max Scherzer the way he's looked.
Yeah, I don't have high faith on Jose Barrios either, but I'll take him right now over definitely Max Scherzer and maybe Eric Lauer in that rotation. The one thing I do want to say with Trey Savage too, the fact that he hasn't pitched a lot in the month of April and he will kind of get that month off probably means he's all systems go for the rest of the season. We don't have to worry about the Blue Jays managing his innings as we get towards the playoffs. Like, let's ride Trey Savage. You've had your time out. Let's get in the system and let's go. So again, looking at this as a positive, but I feel like this is, all systems go for Trey Savage.
You know it's not going to be all systems go, though, right?
It never is. It never is. But I want it to be so bad. I feel like I'm wishing this into existence.
Yeah, no, I'm ready for the Blue Jays to baby him, not let him get above 75 pitches, not pitch into the fifth inning. I guess we'll see. It'll depend on how healthy the rest of the team is and how healthy the bullpen is at that point and how healthy the rest of the starters are and how deep they're going into games. There's a lot of variables that come into how they're going to treat Trey Savage, but I'm telling you, like, this is a guy that is coming into his second full pro season. I think he's probably ready to get a full workload, but I can tell you the professionals in the Toronto Blue Jays organization probably do not.
Yeah, and the Blue Jays have been very good at injury management. Well, whoa, hold on. They haven't this season. But historically, at least last season, they've been really good at protecting their pitchers' arms, per se, if you will. And how they manage Trey Savage might be a reflection of that, but they let him have a big inning jump last season. And I think they're going to try to get right around that same total inning jump this season. It might come in shorter spurts, like maybe 5 innings here, 6 innings here, but I don't think we're going to be in the conversation of him skipping starts. And that is positive.
No. As long as he's not skipping starts, I think that's okay. And honestly, like, I trust them to deal with their guys. You're right. As ironic as it sounds right now, they do have a long track record of handling these types of things well and keeping their guys healthy. So I'm going to trust whatever they do. I think it's just mostly exciting for the fact that you're getting an upgrade in the starting rotation imminently. And that is what the Blue Jays need desperately.
Yes, and like as we mentioned earlier, the Jays have gotten lucky that no one in the AL has run away with things. So take advantage of that. Get Trey Savage on there and let's go. I can't wait for at the end of the season when we're like, since Trey Savage rejoined the rotation, the Blue Jays are X and X, and can't wait for that.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that. Okay, so something that's been going really well on the pitching side, and it's sneaky well because let me tell you, the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen has a 4.92 ERA coming into today's game. That's not good. But if you look a little bit closer and you dig into the guys that are actually important to the Blue Jays bullpen and like pitching in the games where you actually have a chance to win, they've been really, really good. Jeff Hoffman, quietly after blowing a save on opening day, has a 20.25 K percentage. He's got a 2.75 ERA. You can check me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's given up runs since then.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I have it up here. He allowed the zombie runner to score one time, but other than that he's been. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't count. So, he's been very good. He had 2 more strikeouts in the finale here today. Very good. I'm just looking at like WAR numbers for relievers, which very finicky. But Jeff Hoffman, Braden Fisher, Louis Varland, each with 0.3 Fangraphs. So where you add that up, that's a win that the Blue Jays have gotten that they probably wouldn't have had if it wasn't for those 3 relievers. So it's all been very good. Limiting walks. The home run issue isn't kind of been, I knock on wood, because you just know Hoffman's going to give up a big one this series now. But like the home runs have been under control. And, I'm really liking what I'm seeing from the Blue Jays relief corps right now.
What do Louis Varland, Tyler Rogers, and Braden Fisher all have in common?
They're 3 of our 5 best relievers in the bullpen right now.
Well, yeah, none of them have given up runs this season.
Nice. We'll take that. And Louis Varland had some issues early where he had allowed a lot of base runners, but he got a big double play to get out of them. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I feel like he's on a pretty good roll here now going forward. Like a FIP of 1.44. That'll do for Louis Varland.
Yeah, so all you need
Oh,
to do at this point is like get them leads and like let them actually
mhm.
pitch because let them pitch when it matters. Let them flex that because if the Blue Jays can take a lead into the like sixth inning at this point, I feel confident that it's locked down. If your starter can go five and dive and like leave the game with a win, like or with the lead at the very least, like I think he's getting a win. I think I trust the bullpen so much. It's just if the starting pitchers can keep them in games let the at bats not be meaningless in the bottom half of innings. They're right there. It's just the starting rotation has just absolutely killed them.
It has, and I did want to throw some love, I guess, to the back end of the bullpen here. Joe Mantiply in the first game of the series came in, struck out everybody I think he faced. Then he had a clunker here today, so short-lived for Joe Mantiply, but I wanted to show him some love. And Spencer Miles, for what he did in game 2, coming out with Eric Lauer, really has showed his own. And for a guy who's barely thrown at all, who just kind of surprisingly made the big leagues, like he has done his own. He's got a 3.86 ERA. And if he can keep a 3.86 ERA on the season, we're going to have something with Spencer Miles here going forward. So I wanted to throw him some love too, that he's looked like he's belonged in the big leagues so far.
Yeah, Spencer Miles now has more innings this season in the big leagues than he has in any other professional season of his career, which is kind of hard to believe. But this is a guy that like just literally hasn't pitched. He's at like I think like what 15 innings now or something along those lines. A pretty crazy stat there. And another guy in the bullpen who we have to give love to is Mason Fluharty. Dude, he's striking out over 16% of his batters that he's facing. That's really high, and he's been really good. And if Brendan Little hadn't kind of skewered him and given up some inherited runners, I think twice, at least a couple runners once, like his ERA would be in a much better spot. I really like what I've been seeing from Flu so far this season.
Yeah, 8.10 ERA, but a 2.16 expected ERA. We will take that. And you could make the argument he could be even better. He's got a 500 BABIP against him, which we know that's gonna get better going forward here too. Just want to see the walks come down a little bit for Brendan Little, or not Brendan Little. Well, yes, him too, but for Mason Fluharty, who that is the next thing I think he needs to control, is to harness that stuff just a little bit so he can take even the next step as a better pitcher.
Yeah, man. I think this bullpen's been really good. And if you had not not been forced to get so many appearances from Brendan Little, Tyler Heineman, who pitched in the Dodgers, was that Josh Fleming?
Josh Fleming, yeah.
Yeah, that ate a bunch of innings thing. Yeah, like ate a bunch of innings, then get DFA'd. Like if you didn't have to pitch these guys, like the bullpen, the guys that matter in the bullpen have been really good, man. I think that is like not the only bright spot, but one of the only bright spots on this team so far.
Yeah, the bullpen kind of feels like John Schneider has two groups. He has the A group and the B group. And if you are in the A group, you're pitching and things. And I think Braden Fisher has worked his way into that A group. And then he's got the B group, and you'll see the B group when you're losing and the A group when you're winning. And that's kind of why, too, I think when the Blue Jays are losing and they lose by a lot, it's because mostly that B group of relievers is pitching. And when they're winning, you'll see that A group. And that, I think, can fluctuate the run differential a little bit. That's what makes, instead of losing by 2 or 3, we're losing by 5 or 6. And then the games we win, we're winning by 1 or 2. And so when you look at the run differential and it's bad, it'll give you nightmares. Think it might be a little bit inflated just from the bullpen usage John Schneider has used.
Yeah, no, it makes a bunch of sense. Like, what are the other bright spots we could talk about at this point? Dalton Varsho, 6 hits this series, a couple of homers, actually like back from the dead. He was a guy that we were kind of having that conversation about what's going on with Dalton Varsho, but showed a lot of life in this series. Homered off a lefty, much better at bats, hitting the ball very, very hard. What did you like from him this series?
Yes, good to see some signs of life for Dalton Varsho. The things I really like too, the 2 home runs he got in this series, both came off fastballs and both came up in the zone. And when Dalton Varsho went on his heater where he was really soaring off, he was really hitting those curveballs, those changeups down in the zone and driving those. So the fact he hasn't got to that yet makes me optimistic that it is coming. He has made an adjustment. He's learned now how pitchers have attacked him. He's going up in the zone, and Dalton Varsho has made an adjustment, and he is getting rewarded for it this series. So I love seeing that from Dalton Varsho at the plate.
No, he's looked much, much better at the plate. And actually, I kind of like him in the 2 hole, and obviously very small sample size, but I like him in front of Vlad because he's a guy that will chase. Like you can get him above the zone and below the zone. So if he's in front of Vlad, you kind of force to pitch to him because like he'll chase, but I feel like he has a better approach than we give him credit for a lot of the times, because he'll swing just out of the zone, but like the obvious balls, he's pretty safe to take, if you know what I'm saying there. So putting him in front of Vlad forces pitchers to pitch them a little bit more, and I think it's put him in a good spot.
That's a good theory. I never thought of that too, because Dalton Varsho in his Blue Jays career has hit pretty far down in the order too. So I think you're right, because if he can get pitches in the zone, he's gonna do a lot better. He's actually on the season, small sample size, of course, his zone percentage has actually been down quite a bit. But I wonder if I can look that up since he's moved into the 2-hole, and I bet that it is up. But yeah, he's well, his numbers look pretty much in par with how they've been throughout the course of his career. But I like it. I think going forward, Owen, that is something to watch and to monitor, especially once Vlad gets going, which, spoiler, I've seen a lot of signs of Vlad starting to get going in this series. I think that'll also really help Dalton Varsho get going too.
Yeah, Varsho running our walk percentage almost twice as high as it was last year. K percentage is way better than it was last year, like less than half of what it was. Like he's only striking out 13.2% of the time so far this season, so making more contact. And Dalton Varsho's like a bat speed guy. I should look at the bat speed numbers, but I'm not going to pull it up right now. Anyways, I really liked what I've seen from him. One thing of concern, and we talked about the arm last time, but he's been like kind of not great defensively.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna press panic buttons. Like it could be a weird series, could be something going on with like the lights at Rogers Center. Somebody said something about being able to see daylight behind home plate from the outfield at Rogers Center, which is new this season with renovations. I don't know if that's a real thing. It could just be a theory. At the same time, are you concerned about the Dalton Varsho defense?
Not concerned, no, but I am glad you brought this up, because I noticed the same thing from Dalton Varsho in this series. He's still good, don't get me wrong, but he's not that elite level player we've seen. I think Josh Bell hit a shallow fly ball in this series. Dalton Varsho took a dreadful route and also let it fall in front of him. Like that's a ball you usually see Varsho at least slide for and try to catch. So that really caught my attention this year. I had thought about writing an article diving deeper on what Dalton Varsho has done, but I'm going to wait until we get just a larger sample size on that. But yeah, paired with the arm and paired with like some of the small stuff we've seen from Varsho, I think the sprint speed is down quite a bit as well for Dalton Varsho. So I'm noticing this and I'm keeping tabs on this, because elite center field defense has been one of the key cornerstones for the Toronto Blue Jays. And that's a sign of concern for, not concern yet, I suppose, but it's something worth monitoring for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I feel like defensive statistics take a little bit longer to normalize. It's something we're going to be monitoring going forward. I don't think it's ready to press panic buttons at this point, but it's worth having the conversation. And I think when it comes to defense, the eye test really matters. And you're right, like that route on the Josh Bell pop up, first of all, cost Blue Jays runs with the bases loaded, letting a ball that should have been caught fall in front of him. And I think that is like when it's things that cost you runs, that becomes a problem. And hopefully Dalton is just a little bit of a blip defensively, because they say the only thing that doesn't slump is speed, and it looks like Dalton's speed is slumping.
Do you think he's hurt?
Oh God,
because usually when I see big drops and stuff like this, I assume usually injury. The problem is that makes me think maybe he's not hurt, is that the bat speed is still there. And usually when a guy is dealing with something, it's a bat speed thing, but maybe he's got something in his lower body that could be affecting some of this. So I hope not either, but that could be something worth monitoring.
Yeah, well, they just like straight up can't handle him being hurt at this point, because like who plays like Miles Straw like is everyday at bats at that point. Nathan Lucas is already in above his head on everyday at bats. Like, God, yeah, I don't know, dude. He better not be hurt.
Just something I wanted to keep forward on. Let's move on to someone else in the offense here. I mentioned earlier that I've seen some signs of life from Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and I will point out what they are here. But he is starting to hit the ball harder than he ever has in his career. And Vlad has always been one of those guys that ropes the ball. Game one, he had 2 doubles. Both of them were hit 112 miles per hour or harder. In fact, the 115.7, which at the time was the hardest hit ball in the American League so far. So shout out for Vlad. Game 2, he proceeded to have 2 more hits, both over 100 miles per hour as well. So I'm starting to see some good signs from Vlad that he is barreling up the baseball and that those home run numbers will start coming going forward.
Yeah, that bat's been really quality, and we always do this where we get upset with Vlad because he's not slugging, but he's been taking so many walks. He's walking like 5% more than he's striking out at this point. Like he's got a career best walk rate. Obviously, we're gonna keep saying it, small sample size, but career best walk rate and strikeout percentage at this point. He's hitting over 300. Like there's not much more you can ask for from Vlad other than the home runs, and he's just got one. He's only got, I think, what, 4 extra base hits now on the season. So, like, hopefully a little bit more slug, but you're right, that will come because he's hitting the ball a lot harder. Vlad looks like Vlad, and that, if we're gonna do positives, that's a big one right there.
Yeah, 156 WRC plus. It might be the quietest 156 WRC plus we've ever seen from Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but it is nice. I will say, though, I think we want, and you've mentioned this before, we kind of want those runs driven in number to be higher. He's our best hitter. He should be up there. He's tied for 4th on the team in RBIs right now, and you really would like to see that number rise.
So this is purely eye test and anecdotal, but I feel like I haven't really seen much with Vlad and like opportunities to score guys. Like I feel like the top of the order really, for the most part, hasn't been that good, and Vlad hasn't really gotten a lot of chances. And when he has, he's taken his walks.
Yes, that's the thing. He's taken his walks when he's had guys on base, which is not a bad thing. But I think part of that too goes back to injuries. Is this they don't have that guy hitting behind him that can really do a bunch of damage right now. And right now that's Jesus Sanchez, and we can touch on Jesus Sanchez now too. But I think the Blue Jays really could use those middle of the order guy backs that can really hit when Vlad draws that walk to keep the chain rolling. And I think that's something too that might have cost the Blue Jays some runs so far.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that has a lot to do with the state the lineup's in right now. Like you're missing guys behind him who are threats. Like all due respect to Jesus Sanchez, like hit a homer in this series, has actually looked pretty much exactly as advertised. But like that's a guy that you want to look as advertised in like the 7th or 8th spot in your lineup, not hitting cleanup.
I agree. And let's run through some of the other offensive notes I saw. We can go kind of rapid fire, read these ones. But shout out to Brandon Valenzuela, who hit his first big league home run. It was a big one. Jays were down by 1 when he got it, went up 2. I really like that he started to do the run out of the box, and then he got about maybe 20% up the first baseline, and he's like, no, I got it. Looks at the first base coach and goes, let's effing go. And you can tell he was hyped to get that first home run of the big leagues. That's what you're going to get from Valenzuela. So I really like seeing that. Do you have a thought on him? And then you can mention another player you liked.
I like what I've seen from him. I actually don't mind it at all. I think behind the plate, he's looked good. A couple of like really good ABS challenges from him, like buying his pitcher strikeouts. He looks confident, I think, which is a big thing. And I think especially when like there's not a lot of sample size of me having seen a guy, one of the things I look for is body language. And I think he's got good body language. He looks comfortable at the plate, even if the results haven't quite been there. Like obviously the home run is big, but not hitting a whole lot. Again, as a catcher, all I ask is that you be solid defensively. And by my eye test, other than like his first or second game when he threw a ball into, what was it, like left field or something like that? Or no, he overthrew Hoffman. Anyways, aside from that, he's looked really good.
Yeah, he did catch at least one Minnesota Twins would-be base stealer. I don't know if he got a second one at all in there, but shout out to Brandon Valenzuela. He's kind of been quiet. He hasn't really been a talking point so far this season. And like I said, if you're going to be a catcher, a back-end catcher on this roster, don't be a conversation starter. And he has. He played all 3 games this series, by the way, because I know we didn't mention it in the injuries, but Tyler Heineman's dealing with a back thing. So just another name onto the list to add there. 2 more notes on the offense here. Nathan Lucas has been dreadful. He was 2 for 22 coming into the season. Another hitless day today. You made a comment earlier about he's kind of been forced into everyday at bats for this team right now. It does not look good. And what have you seen from Kazuma Okamoto this series? As he was the only Blue Jay who didn't really join the hit parade in the first game of the series. He didn't play in game 2 and got back into the game today. And I don't think he did well today either. I'd have to double check that. But what have you seen from those 2 players?
Yeah, so you touched on the 2 guys that I was going to say yes to my question that I posed to you earlier. Yes. Have the Blue Jays, or which Blue Jays have had a concrete shift in opinion since the start of the season? And those are the 2 guys that I think, frankly, have. And like this includes the guys in a positive direction. Like I think, like on the positive side, everything is as you expect. Like the guys are doing what they're doing. Nobody's exceeding expectations in any meaningful way. But these guys are not meeting the expectations in a meaningful way. And then I've seen enough, I think, especially from Okamoto, to be like, this guy maybe is not what we thought he was. I think the approach at the plate has been really, really bad. Like the 36.4% strikeout rate is just a massive problem. He's only got one extra base hit in April, Jesse. Like I know we've talked about a lot and like how much he's swinging and missing and how much he's striking out, and he's taking his walks a little bit, but like he's not even hitting the ball hard anymore. He frankly looks overmatched, and it's a big problem.
Yeah, 0 for 9 in this series for Kazuma Okamoto. And he doesn't have an RBI yet. That hasn't come on one of his 2 home runs. So that's something you want to see, especially from a guy who is bumped up to 5th in the batting order right now. He's got a very nice negative 45 weighted runs created plus with runners in scoring position on the season. So we always knew it was going to be adjustments, but you want to see some signs of life that things are coming down. Did think he had some good takes on some pitches today for what it's worth, but we're grasping at straws if we're looking for good stuff from Kazuma Okamoto at the plate so far this season.
Yeah, I don't want to say like he won't be successful in his major league career. I'm not calling him done. First of all, the Jays need him to not be done, and he's going to keep getting opportunities because he got paid, first of all, and because like the Blue Jays obviously saw enough when they signed him to give him enough opportunities and to let him make that adjustment. Unfortunately, the adjustment period is coming at a time when the Blue Jays are just absolutely desperate for, production from position players, not even just offense. And he really has just not fit the bill. He's been really disappointing, and that's the stuff you worry about when you sign a guy who's never played in the big leagues before. Last note on him, he's already a -2 outs above average, according to Baseball Savant. He's neutral according to Fangraphs for what that's worth, but like this is a guy who, if he's not going to be hitting, we knew the defense wasn't going to be amazing, but it was hopefully going to be neutral, and it's not even been that, and it's already early.
Yeah, a lot of that I think comes from the Blue Jays have him playing deeper at third base because he's not as twitchy, he's not as reactionally to a lot of the balls coming through. So I think outs above average punishes him against that. So that could be the thing there. I had a note on Kazuma Okamoto's offense, and I have forgotten it. Oh, sorry. I think the Blue Jays' best team right now with all these injuries probably involves Ernie Clement at third base and probably has Davis Schneider as the everyday second baseman right now. So you could argue if it is a pure mediocrity and that the best players are going to play, I don't think that includes Kazuma Okamoto right now.
And that's with the injuries. And I think that says a lot. Yes. Like, I think there actually has been a concrete shift in what we should be thinking of him and what we should be expecting of him. Disappointing, really disappointing start to his big league career. And the other guy, we already talked about him a little bit, but Nathan Lucas, at the plate, he's been terrible, dude. So Eloy Jimenez made his Blue Jays debut today.
Yes.
Picked up 2 hits and has tied Nathan Lucas for the number of hits they have this season. Dude, Nathan Lucas playing a lot, but like he's still chasing almost 50% of the time. His hard hit percentage is down 10% compared to last year. Squared up percentage, so cut in half from 30% last year, like really good, to like under 15% this year. Like, dude, Nathan Lucas is kind of like falling off a cliff when it comes to productivity. And I think he's not done. Like, he's going to keep getting opportunities. He's underperforming his expected stats, but at the same time, just like so bad in a time when the team is desperate for our production from his spot.
Yeah, and it's worth noting too, Nathan Lucas kind of struggled down the second half of last year as well. So this isn't exactly new. He was fine in the playoffs for the Blue Jays, had some big hits for them. So I think a lot of us have forgotten that. But Nathan Lucas did struggle. And for what it's worth, he does still have a minor league option remaining. So don't be surprised if that when the Blue Jays start to get more healthy, that maybe it's Nathan Lucas you see on the one that's going down.
Yeah, it looks like other teams have kind of realized, oh, like we just don't have to throw him strikes and he will get himself out for us. Mm-hmm. Like he will just keep swinging at those pitches. And it seems like, especially when guys are on base, like he's so determined to not strike out that he decides he's swinging before the pitch is on its way. And no matter where it is, he's going to swing. And he's probably going to make contact, but he can't make solid contact with pitches that almost hit him or pitches that are at his eyes. You know what I'm trying to say now?
Yeah, your expected batting average on those hits can't be any higher than like 130, which, would be better than what he's currently hitting, but you're not going to have success if that approach keeps coming. I would like to see some actual changes from Nathan Lucas at the plate, and we didn't see any in this series.
No. Okay. So we're talking about position players that are really struggling, and we could go on there, but like those are the two like main culprits to me right now that have been doing it for the longest period of time. Why the hell haven't we seen Tyler Fitzgerald?
Great question. I had really thought that after the trade was made, the trade was made, and then we saw a couple injuries happen. I really thought this would be the time to get Tyler Fitzgerald some run. He's been on the bench, he's been on the lineup. We have yet to see him get into a game. Like, this is a guy who has had stretches of success in the major leagues already. Like, I don't understand why we haven't even got him in there as a pinch runner, as a defensive replacement. Like, give him a start. I really do think the Blue Jays should be giving Tyler Fitzgerald a start here sooner rather than later.
Yeah, this is a guy that you like traded for. You agreed to pay his contract. It wasn't a waiver pickup. Like, you traded for him after he got DFA'd. Like, you gave something up to get this guy, and he can't get into a series when you lose 2 games by like when you're out of them by what, the 3rd, 4th, 5th inning. Like, I feel like we need to see him sooner rather than later. I don't like letting a guy rot, especially when he's new to the team. And if you actually think he has something to offer this team, and I get like it's the manager that sets the lineup and it's the general manager that brings in the players, but at the same time, like, you saw enough in this guy to bring him in and give up some cash considerations to get him, and you're not playing him. Like, what are we doing? What's going on?
Yeah, we're 2-8 in our last 10 games. Like, you got to try something. You can't keep running out the same stuff every there. Like I said, maybe this is the time we move Ernie Clement to third. We can let Tyler Fitzgerald get in at second base, right? I understand you don't want to take Davis Schneider out of the lineup because he's been one of your better hitters. Move him out in right field. We don't need Nathan Lucas out there all the time, even if there is a right-handed hitter on the mound, right? Maybe they're waiting for a lefty. I don't think the Brewers are throwing any lefties against us, but like, I think it's worth a shot. You know, maybe he just gets 2 hits. He gets a clutch hit with runners in scoring position, and then he can help carry your team. You got to try something. And I really think Tyler Fitzgerald would be the easiest move for John Schneider to deploy right now to get something else. Maybe Eloy Jimenez is part of it too, but you got to think there's going to be at-bats here for Tyler Fitzgerald to at least see what the Blue Jays have in him.
Did we see enough from Eloy Jimenez today to like have a conversation about him, or is 4 at-bats, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts? So very polarizing day for Eloy Jimenez. Like, do you want to save the conversation on him till after this Milwaukee series?
Yeah, save it for a little bit, but good stuff. 2 hits. He's probably earned another start. Probably tomorrow.
Anybody that has a chance to hit or hit a home run should be playing because you're so desperate for it. Obviously, we mentioned at the very start of this, George Springer going down, broken toe. Hopefully it's the minimum. Like, the Jays just frankly can't handle any more injuries. So, man, like, wherever you can find offensive production, like, we need it. And I think Eloy Jimenez looks like he at least is going to swing the bat and be at the very minimum a threat.
I agree with you. It'll be something to watch for going forward. And I'm sure, I hope, Owen, that we can lead next episode with a lot more positive talk about Eloy Jimenez, because that would be such a fun story if we were able to get it.
Yeah, man. Okay. So if you don't have anything else, like, we can run down this Milwaukee series, but like, I think we're a little bit all over the place tonight. Like a busy weekend for the Jays. Lots happened. Most of it negative. And once again, we cannot do this conversation without just like being absolutely stunned by how many injuries the Jays have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been ridiculous. And I hope this is it. I hope Dalton Varshaw's not hurt. I hope this Tyler Heineman little back thing he's got going on, that can be the end of it. I will say I freaked out watching Jesus Sanchez rip a foul ball off his foot today. Mm-hmm. I was having so many flashbacks and I was like, come on, you're kidding me. But he got up, seems to be okay. Max Scherzer too. We didn't mention him, but he apparently has a massive forearm bruise or something that looks terrible. So like, there is they mentioned it on the broadcast this morning. There's like a lot that's happening with this team right now. And I really hope we can look back and laugh at this once the season's done.
Yep, it's still early, and it will be early for a while longer. This Milwaukee series, at least like the good starting pitchers are pitching this series. Like, you're getting to pitch your 2 guys that you actually want to, and that is Kevin Gausman versus Jacob Mizorowski, the fireballer, the kid.
Yeah.
If anything, it'll be fun to watch that as a baseball fan. Somebody like that, like, he throws 102 as a starter. He's fun. He's like this skinny, wiry dude, super tall. He'll be fun to watch. And then the next game will be Dylan Cease versus Chad Patrick. If you don't know Chad Patrick, sneaky good pitcher, off to a great start this season. And then it'll be Pat Corbin back at it for a second Blue Jays start against Kyle Harrison, also a good starter. So Jays going to be tough against these Milwaukee Brewers, a good team. What's the series prediction for you?
Yes, I want to say we only take one game out of the series the way the Blue Jays have played, but my normal answer is baseball is stupid. Maybe we'll find a way to win 2 games here. It's tough. I like Milwaukee. I like the way Milwaukee plays. Milwaukee does all the little things right. They have enough power throughout their lineup. They pitch really well. Their bullpen's really good. I think the Blue Jays only get 1, but I'll take the 1 if we start seeing signs that this team is starting to come to life.
I agree. Okay, so I think we're getting towards the end of the runway, but there still is a little bit of runway left where we can look to process rather than results. And in this series, it's purely on process for me. Like, do Gausman and Cease look like Gausman and Cease? Does Vlad continue this upward projection he's been on? Does Dalton Varsho continue what he's been doing? How does Eloy Jimenez look? Like, I need to see some positive things. Does Nathan Lucas turn it around? Does Kazuma Okamoto get into a couple baseballs? Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. To be honest, more than the wins at this point, I need to see a little bit more positive process. And we did get that. We mentioned it off the top of the pod. 2.5 really good games of Blue Jays baseball before George Springer broke his toe. So get back to that. Maybe it's just a blip on the schedule. I'm not going to make a prediction on wins and losses because I don't think it matters for this series. You're playing the National League. Like, games against the NL don't matter. So like just get out of the series healthier than you left it. That's my goal.
I agree. It would be nice to see some signs from some of those players, and the Blue Jays kind of need Vlad too to start get a big one for your team. Take this team on your back. Let's get going, and I think he will. I think Vlad's got a good series up ahead of him here.
I hope so, man. Okay, so if you enjoyed this pod, first of all, thank you so much for listening. Check out the website. Check out Jays Center. So many good, talented writers. The video content is coming back for me especially soon, so I'm super excited about that now that my school schedule's wrapping up. Check out Jesse's writing. He's going to be talking about how much the Jays are losing from how many guys are on the IL. And if you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, give us 5 stars, do all that good stuff. Really helps us out. Jesse and I, despite the actual baseball of it all, have been having a lot of fun bringing these episodes to you. So check out Jays Center, and thank you so much for listening.
Yes, and if you have a question or a comment you want us to ask, please leave it in the comments below. We will get to it. Reach out to either of us on social media. We will get your questions. We are a fan podcast by the fans for the fans. So we unofficial headline, I suppose. So yes, please feel free to reach out. We always love talking baseball with everybody out there.
Awesome. Jesse, thank you so much. And man, we're going to talk after the Jays beat the Brewers.
I can't wait. I've already got it in my schedule.
Alrighty. Talk soon.
Cheers, my guy.